Welcome everyone to another nightly live stream. You see we work so little, we do nothing here, totally don't deserve a nice keyboard. Anyway, some more notes to the thread stuff. Of course I was spending a couple of more time. By the way, also fun fact, only the few channels on YouTube where we mix news about Apple's peak bugs and Linux stuff. The day is so busy I've not even initiated the daily T2 Linux build stuff. So did my homework. I looked more into this threading stuff. Not that we spread here false stuff. And as you can see here on this Apple documentation, it is exactly how I said, that they really want this dispatch to the non-main thread here, and they even have in latest Xcode version some main thread checker, so they really want all this UI stuff run on the main thread. In my opinion, total waste of CPU resources, but what do I know about IT? And so this stuff is detecting invalid use of AppKit, UIKit and other APIs from the background thread. So yeah, amazing stuff, exactly what I told you. And it's a standalone tool for Swift and C language that detects invalid use. Yeah, we had this updating UI on a thread other than the main thread. And yeah, also programming philosophies and architecture in 2019 run everything on the main thread. Well, at least the UI stuff. And unlike other code diagnostic tools, doesn't require recompilation. It can be used with existing binaries. And so on. Performance impact. The performance impact with the main thread checker is minimal, 1 to 2% CPU overhead. So of course this is most likely very lightweight hooking into those calls like libraries, symbols and stuff, and validating all of those calls if they are done on the thread or main thread, not such a big deal. But honestly, seriously, this stuff, in my opinion, should just be more thread safe. And with Objective-C, it's slightly more, well, a little bit more typing, but with Swift, you see as an example, so here's a long-running task, such as networking, often executed in the background. Also, yeah, not only network, also image processing, or all kind of other data processing, and so on. All the stuff you need, all the many multi-cores for and multi-threaded applications nowadays to make use of all the performance game threads, game logic, and all the other fun stuff. And so they have some URL session, shared data task. Also, yeah, modern languages, Swift and Rust, a little bit, yeah, it is readable, but yeah, not really sure. Anyway, a stream going, 0 going for only 2 minutes. What do you mean with that? What is the price stream going for only 2 minutes? Anyway, at least Pulse Audio is working as far as my view meter goes. So they have some stupid example in Swift. So this is how Swift looks, like other. That is cool, thanks for tuning in. So this is how Swift looks in contrast to other languages. Of course, you often see here shellcode, but also like shellcode, like here actually certainly can compile and make good use of touch stuff we don't want to build. And not that, but all of this. And otherwise, you see a lot of C and C++, and we even have shown you Rust, the latest and greatest of mod memory type safe stuff. And also, of course, not even assembly, RISC-V and ARM instructions and architecture only here on this channel. Well, not only, but all of those, a lot of stuff. And this is Swift, and without even studying it, in my opinion, most programmers, computer scientists, they should at least have some understanding what's going on, at least if it's a halfway decent, not too obscure language. So let is declaring here some local variable, let task variable equals URL session. So this are the Objective-C like, it's of course Swift, but similar to this runtime URL session shared data task with URL a little bit Objective-C like here with something, and data response error in if let data equals data here, self-labeled text. And so this is error label updated on background set, just what I told you in the previous live stream, what is now, well, it silently accidentally worked. But honestly, so we also have more issues. So I just, by the way, just got, let me check my email. Okay, it's further away, darn it. It's on the charger because I have a battery. Anyway, and you see here they assign a text label, and so the solution dispatch the call updating the label text to the main thread, and I find this so wasteful and hilarious. So in Objective-C this is relatively straightforward. Everything here, let me just check, is the same. The only thing that is new is this dispatch queue main asynchronous async. And so what this is doing is using this grand central dispatch of grand central thread dispatching, I think introduced maybe in macOS 10.6 or something of that sort, as far as I remember, quote from memory. And so what this is doing, and I find this so hilarious. So instead of having thread-safe framework, thread-safe library, meaning that thread-safe, like you can, like the previous code, like this code, like just calling a method. This of course is a property. So this is I'm not entirely sure about the details, but it's like generating a setter and getter method, meaning you do not write old-fashioned set and get methods. So this is transparently syntactic sugar there behind the back, but this is equivalent to a method call of set text label there of the self object of your self class there, self object, the label variable, and then at least I think so, and then the text property of this UI label, and here with this data count bytes downloaded. And so this is just a method, and so instead of making this thread safe, meaning that it's using some kind of mutex or whatever synchronization structure to lock all the internal data structures in the UI framework, that in case of this label are of course the label's local variables of this label object, and potentially also then if it's notifying the UI hierarchy to have damages on the screen for repainting potentially. So I understand, yes, there is some locking involved, although honestly it is not that much. And I have to admit, our own UI label, our own UI library, I showed you this, we are such a small, not one-man company, that we have our own UI stuff here, exact and universal here. Do we have the slightly larger? Yes, we have the slightly larger. And so this is our own from scratch, not using GTK, not using Qt. This is based on Lua. I disclosed some details previously. So this is also structured in a similar way, but actually I did this because this is based on Lua, and Lua is single-threaded by design. And it has some benefits. So it's a little bit double standard calling out this, but this is not unlike our not unsuccessful, not one-man company. This is of course Apple, and there is a difference between writing a UI library for a small company in 20% time over a course of a couple of years, and the latest and greatest, supposedly most innovative, user-friendly, amazing looking and whatsoever UI stuff. So I would argue, so although we have done it similarly, but I have only done this because Lua is not multi-threaded by design, and calling this out in our own, and in this case of Objective-C and inherited by Swift, it is of course for this kind of small properties, being this here a text label, or in our case what I've shown you here in our code earlier, it was set in a UI progress, whatever progress bar, whatever the exact name is there, the percent value of this numeric progress bar in percent. So just a number, just like notifying, and again, it's not even doing so much work, right? So if you call this like here directly the method of this UI label or NS label, that it's only locking very little, right? So instead of just, and by the way, this is most likely not very concurrent anyway, so it's not like you're bombarding with all your threads like 10,000 of UI calls. So this is only locking, if it would be thread safe, only locking very little in the UI label, obviously very little, a little bit more in the UI hierarchy, notifying the windowing system, hey, we have here some damages in this window. And I would argue, so usually this mutexes, if you call them, depending of course on your workload, but usually the contention there is very low because you are, as I said, not bombarding your UI stuff with thousands of messages. However, even if you are having there's quite some locking congestion, I would still argue this overhead is still less than dispatching this. So what this is doing is, in this grand central dispatch queue, this is some central thread scheduling. And so what this is doing is, this is generating a method, some kind of container of data values, and dispatching this, like scheduling this to the main thread. So notifying, so creating this kind of data packet in whatever form they've chosen internally, and notifying the main thread to wake up, or actually, well, certainly it could be, you could probably do this like a socket or a pipe or whatever, any kind of inter-process communication, whatever they've done there. Well, they have a microkernel, so theoretically a Mach port, but certainly they have not used that for that, I guess. And schedule this, and by the way, so even if you do this with shared memory, maybe I should another day research what exactly they've done there internally, but even if you do this with shared memory, you again have some locking, right? So the difference is whether you lock some thread local member class variables there in this UI stuff to update all your management housekeeping data, or you anyway have certainly even more overhead, like packaging this nicely in this dispatch queue, queuing this in this dispatch queue with all your other stuff. I would also guess that if you have a very grand central dispatch heavy application, like if you have to schedule everything like this, you certainly have quite a lot going on there. And then I would argue you again have quite some fighting there and load for all this whatever locking and IPC inter-process communication is going on there. So in my opinion, this should be should have quite some overhead just for the simple text, right? We are talking about scheduling, dispatching, just setting a text label or any other, like manipulating any other stuff here. And this is so crazy. I realized in our code that I showed you earlier in the previous stream, which by the way, fun fact, I probably should have here still the screenshot, right? Did I use eDisplay or maybe I didn't use eDisplay, then I used the viewer. Hello. Did I maybe not close this shell until then? Also, what is this? Is also not that. Anyway, you get the idea. Previous stream, and it is even checking, for example, if so. For example, our background thread would take some configuration like preferences from UI buttons. So I realized we get a warning from the stupid thread checker that each time, so you cannot even use most buttons. So if you have background processing of image data or sound data or any kind of background processing, and wait, what? Why are you what? So if you get the values of any of your on-screen properties like buttons, all the other fine stuff, to choose whether to blur something, to resize something, all the other stuff you do for image processing, make it smaller, crop it, and all this stuff. So you can't even access most of these properties, which is really hilarious. So yeah, only wanted to shout this out. Also, I also, can we close this here? Here's a Medium article. So this is also Swift 5, how to do async wait. Also, I realized the Swift stuff is, if you don't care, you don't need to watch this. So the Swift stuff is also incompatible, right? So I've seen quite some stuff. So we are not the most into the Swift stuff, but those who are, I've seen quite some tutorials and stuff that people said this stuff is incompatible and you need to change this, and they change the syntax and so on. So yeah, also you see if the syntax, if you do more stuff, then stuff gets more complicated, and you see here dispatch main async based on the result of the stuff. So results have make API call, and so yeah, this stuff gets more complex quickly, and not everything is just one line just like this. But yeah, and yeah, nice and clean. Yeah, in my opinion, just a method call is also nice and clean, right? Anyway, so yeah, maybe there's some stuff built here. Only wanted to give you an update on this threading stuff. Some people already commented that they agree this lack of forward compatibility is annoying and would be a deal breaker for them. They're on the previous video, and similar stuff like that. And so also updates here. Welcome everyone else in the audience. Just tuned in from the homepage. That is cool and amazing. Welcome everyone who is new to this channel. We theoretically also have one more thing to do here. So that's it on the threading update. Now I could actually quickly finish some Linux kernel stuff, because usually we do open source Linux kernel stuff in MIPS, PowerPC, Octane, PS3, and all the fun stuff left and right and in between. And maybe we quickly for a minute could actually doing something with the Linux kernel, because ever-changing Linux kernel, the latest update doesn't apply our refine realtek codec. So temp.fs, okay, that is off already. Let's probably that. Yeah, okay, there are quite some build errors. Actually, I also need to sometime soon need to do quite some more work on Welcome Cheesecake. Also, that reminds me, I have some P3 patches to apply, which actually, let me, then you have to see me, because I don't want to open the email in front of the camera. So Thunderbird, if you don't like that, then you can also tune out. So let's switch back to that. For all those people, cool, I got an email here. Cool stuff. So PS3 problem is, in the meantime, my inbox is quite full as per usual. So yeah, this cleaning. This is a data center, so this is not local. This is an aging Xeon that I also need to update. So Linux, because this Linux build will fail, I need to rebase the realtek stuff, and for the ThinkPad and stuff there would be so many emails. If you wonder why sometimes I don't pay, here is one patch update PS3 patches for, okay, here's the first one. And I think there was a second one. As far as I remember, this most likely was Cheesecake. This is why I remembered that. And so yeah, small change, upstream broke one of the patches. Here's a fix. That is amazing. Region 0, so struct must be last. So why? So you changed the array size from struct from a wait a second. Okay, so this is from struct. How does it even? Interesting. See, fun. So let's copy that here. The fun of, yeah, also super slow with this IO load on the failing right stuff. And the second one is for LV1 call driver. Actually, you remind me, wanted to build the current mainline kernel. Yeah, we have sort of done that. Actually, the failing router has already the latest mainline kernel. Yeah, you see why I usually build on TempFS, because on a... Why is this proxying mounted? Nah. Anyway, with a little bit of work on the virtual machine, the I/O performance is not amazing. So, upstream kernel change, let's see, architecture. Okay, that should apply like this. Patch, dry, run, P... It should be... No, it's P1. That applies. And then... Oops. That is that. And then there is also second patch somewhere between the many emails. So on the only thing, I still use Mac OS for quite a bit for my email, although I have here Thunderbird and actually so much of vintage legacy stuff. I also have here Emacs theoretically with Mu. But actually this I probably can delete because it's an email to myself with a 15% discount code for car rental. Delete. Where is the second email? So the only thing is in Thunderbird, the search is not the most amazing. This email, eBay, I can also delete. This is my tax advice. Only live on this channel. Why do I have so many emails? Certainly explains why I don't get work done here. Still didn't find the second email. Oh, cool. The state of our XXScan Pro switch to... Can I even... Yeah, can only live. Is this here any... I don't think that should be so. You're not making this stuff up. Good that I still sit in the office. So, here, found it. Patch P3. Another small P3 patch. Amazing stuff. Let's apply that too. Oops. That also applies. And let's see, what did that even do? That is adding an open to private data 0. And I guess you tested that, I would hope. Search in the subject. Thanks for that. Actually, I could try if Thunderbird does it. L1 call. Just for, oh no, it's slightly more. Okay, let's copy and paste it. So L1, so I guess this LV1 call didn't work anymore, or hey, this even would have worked also. Anyway, amazing stuff. So, this is still just deleting, but to be fair, this Linux stuff is large, so it's deleting some gigabytes worth of data. So yeah, that actually failed just as expected. We can probably test build this. This should be PS3, no, not PS3, PowerPC 6432 job 5 Linux. By the way, how do you test build this? Do you use T2 or right? I think you said that you built your own T2 version, I guess, right? If I recall correctly, which is certainly amazing. So Linux here. And so what rediffing means, because of the upstream, constant upstream changes, they move code around, they apply their own patches and fixes and workarounds for audio stuff. And due to that, our IBM ThinkPad of yesteryear and even Surface and Dell XPS 13 or so. Headphone frequency range connection stuff doesn't apply anymore. I sent this upstream. The ALSA people said that is amazing, but please rewrite it. So yeah, not yet done that. That happens if you tell volunteering contributors to rewrite this stuff. Also, yeah, actually this is not 5 but 1 for cross build. And find name, reject, this is somewhere in sound, PCI something. And so I guess you are cross-compiling this also, right? With probably not sure if you do it like this or like build target config whatever job 1 Linux. And what else do we have here? Flexible NC should be declared with don't know why. So yeah, maybe I guess they use Scenery Checker. I guess it's their coding style checks, and I guess anyway, or maybe it is cleaner not to tell the compiler it's zero sized if it's not zero sized, or anyway, this yeah. So yeah, so this is building. And by the way, this is of course why it is more fun together, that not I'm here the point of the bottleneck and other people also contribute too. So what, I've not even looked into this. I really hate, by the way, does it even, okay. I hate that when terminal stuff handling mouse cursor stuff, so that is always a little bit annoying. Hello, can we, yeah, not making, why is this, by the way, maybe it's not using tempfs. Yeah, the performance also got worse. Actually not really super sure why this performance, but this happens if you let virtual machine stuff run forever. There is some other load on this, and actually it has a little bit tempfs but not fully configured. Probably I touched this manually though. Anyway, so reject. So this quirks, okay, so it's not that much, and yeah, that is fun if okay, move this here and then fix file. So usually I use the mouse, but we don't have this, so that is why we will read this in. So this is at the end, I most likely, so let's see, this was 6,600 6,073 something. PCI quirk. Here are PCI quirks. Below the quirk table taken from old code, basically the device should work without the fixed table. So I guess this most likely was here, right? Read in X. Zotac, Lenovo, PCI 17. Lenovo IdeaPad is there, so yeah, that probably belongs here. And then this goes here, that goes away. And I hope I used fix file diff, otherwise. But even if I haven't, okay, I have. So that is what we rediffed. Not too much of a change. So this only failed because they added more entries there, and I really should get this upstream sometime soon, between now and forever. Also only mistyping here. So let's go back to base Linux, and this is something with Realtek or so, I guess. And so this is at the end, so we can just delete this because we have only partially rediffed this. Read in this X file here, 1, 2, 3, that is there. Only here on certainly this channel, hand editing patches, because that's how we like to do it. Also delete that. Then we want to re-enable tempfs also here. oops, best with also. Yeah, that happens when you have course builds. I also need to fix this eventually, which is certainly cool that we have so many people here. Actually, you know what, while we are here, so although my wife might be slightly waiting, but I need to do a favor tomorrow morning. So maybe I can live stream another more minutes. If I already interrupt my amazing extra code work tomorrow for her business fun. So let's build, oh wait a second, did I even, probably not here only. So this became totally slow, not really sure why. If this file system is just so fragmented, but I will most likely, we have this Ryzen build here, and as soon as AMD will ever deliver that upgrade here soon to the 3950X, and then everything will be even more snappy. So let's build those two kernels, and then we can quickly do another shell code job, so tempfs there, and then build that with tempfs. That is so much more, like 10 times more snappy. Another thing I want to do, and because now those builds will, so it's an aging Xeon, it's a KVM virtual machine, so that takes a while, and especially as we build two kernels in parallel. So yeah, so we have here quite some trees. You see cleaner and old and Spark and MIPS, and because those Spark 32 is a Spark station, so this is heavily reverted to old vintage stuff. The MIP 64 newer is, and those MIP 64 also reverted, and the MIP 64 newer is something in between. That is what I used over a year ago for the last Octane build, and yeah, that is also coming sometime soon. And yeah, you see our I/O throughput here, not amazing anymore. Although maybe the disk's actually failing in this data center stuff. Anyway, okay, so this is amazing. So this is clean sometimes. So my T2 trunk clean is usually a totally clean checkout, because as you might have seen on those working copies, I have like 300 changes, not making this up. These are all the not compiling updates. So much too, how much work is it to keep a one-man distribution? Also, yeah, just only here with some old binary Power VR stuff in between. So working copy count lines. Also, I think I recently, no, we still have 395. Also, this is including lingering files and whatever. Anyway, so what I wanted to do is that, also clean this here just a little bit, and when people run a new build, they install this on the PS3 here, or the Octane or Origin or any other fun stuff, Spark in between. They run scripts config, and usually that is not a problem to generate a totally vanilla config, because this config, like the Linux kernel config, defaults to all the defaults, whatever is a default in T2, and usually this was quite okay. Just as with our new, more exotic build combinations like Musel and Sealing and stuff, that this doesn't match. And if this is totally out of alignment, then it totally blows up in flames and nothing builds with all the Musel versus glibc and Sealing Clang versus GCC. So what I wanted to do is, if you run the scripts config and of course you can run this on Debian and Ubuntu, and then it still should default to the defaults, like running this on Ubuntu for cross-compiling for an ARM or MIPS embedded board. And the config is of course here in config. And actual fun fact, we only have here the config default from testing, so I will just delete this, because this is, if you check out the T2 sources, you don't have this config and everything is vanilla, like that. And what I wanted to do is to copy the T2 config if it exists. And some of these are the small things. The introduction here takes longer to explain than actually code change. So this is when you install T2 from some ISO on your USB stick or PS3 or USB stick or Octane, whatever. Then you have this etc SDE config. That is a configuration used to build the CD or not CD, USB drive. And I actually wanted to copy this here. So config default, or actually where would be mkdir? So there should probably be, yeah, config, so do config cycle and touch config packages. So that would be this here, mkdir. And my idea would be to copy this configuration. I guess the ideal place might be here. Actually, certainly quite vintage Rock Linux scripts, not even looked into this. You see a copyright 1998 to Rock Linux and then T2. Quite nice vintage source. So here's a config parsing, and then it's not old config is not supported for a new config. Actually, maybe we do this here first. Actually, okay, this is actually here. So mkdir, that is here. And yeah, somewhere pretty early. So we could actually just do it here. And like old config. Actually, I would rename this. This is a little bit, yes, you see when non-native English people have done this. So if I've not done this, I would not write the board, but error or something. But yeah, maybe not unnecessary touching this today. Maybe we just insert it here in the beginning for now. That would be if not actually maybe just here, and exist probably could be like that, etc sde config. Probably just check on that. Probably I can't paste. And this exists, or actually maybe -d is directory, right? Then echo. Using etc sde config as default config. That would mean we would mkdir that here and copy everything over. Probably like so. Actually, we could, maybe we just check for config. Makes no sense if the directory is there but it's empty, then it's no good anyway. So maybe we actually check if a config is in there. So then make the config directory, copy all the stuff over into the config directory, and that should probably be it. So you see a 5-line change or something. Let's see if that works. Creating config write log, compiling that. So this is the Lua. So previously we had but somehow this, I have the feeling, new config written. I have the feeling that did not yet work. What are we doing here? Wait a second. This is the wrong directory. If not config and wait a second, it's not the directory. We need exist here. Oops, so much too. Did someone spot this? Maybe not. So yeah, this worked now. Using etc sde config as default config, copying this over there, acquiring config logs, that in my opinion looks pretty neat. So this should improve usability. There you see all the fine stuff, all this whatever could go wrong and new users who of course have not read the freaking manual, certainly always nice to give them some guidance here. So improved scripts config to use etc sde config as for defaults if it exists. Improved scripts config to use for defaults if it exists, commit. So then the stuff is building here. I guess we can commit this already. Not too much of a deal. That would be Linux. Let's see, what did we change? Only that file. That looks okay. Paste. Actually, what is the file name? Let's copy the whole file name. And the PS3 stuff also still builds. So, by the way, did I background this? It's already in background. So commit, that is architecture, PowerPC here. And let's see, do we have more? Actually, wait a second, I had there apparently some other straight changes in there. So then package Linux, probably still, yeah, still a little bit more. So much to 300 changes, and of course there are a couple of those. Commit, so this was got an email, let's hope it's not purchase order. Yeah, purchase order, my S. Dear friend, please find attached your order SA. Yeah, certainly don't want your spam, virus, malware, thank you very much. Move to spam train. 0 spam train there. So this was storage, and so 0 0 and 2 should probably be it. So that struct thing, and actually, so this is actually adding the copyright 42 there automatically, but yeah, whatever. It's in there now, so it's in there now. That's what you get. Let's grab the email and give credit where credit is due. Copy name and email address. So rebased. So, only love on YouTube, that is also done. How open source people spend their day and night and evening. Okay. Anyway, now it's already committed, and that's what it is. Yeah, thanks for watching. Welcome everyone. That's what happened here. That's probably it for today because it's late. Apple is still, well, yeah, I can change the commit message on the server theoretically. That is only slightly drawback on oops, I nearly clicked on stop streaming. Probably closed Thunderbolt. No. Anyway, interesting that people sent you the email. That is amazing. So Apple is still reviewing our update. By the way, also to the Apple rant, that it's really costing us money, right? So because Apple didn't in time, so of course it's a little bit our fault not having the Catalina update more ready, but I also didn't expect Apple to release this broken operating system update like that. And I tried to install it, but the first install failed as usual, and this is a recurring theme. The installation of some whatever Mojave or something also failed on me and took actually the encrypted data with it somehow. I have the feeling maybe they barely test with Macs with multiple volumes or partitions of previous OS releases. Anyway, I actually wanted to wait a little bit. I hope that some of the random crashes go away in their golden master. And I forgot to call out also that it is hilarious that they only gave the developers like 4 or 5 days. So and this over the weekend, right? Not even 4 or 5 business days. They seeded or published the golden master. Gee, I'm right, golden master. They published it last Thursday or something, and then Thursday, Friday, weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Which fun fact, we actually, so I again as usual, why was there no YouTube stream? Because I was busy with our software. So actually worked and through on those details. And also another thing is they always constantly break Xcode stuff. Also half of the time wasted with converting Xcode configuration to actually still build our stuff. Especially if we have some custom rules, pre-compiling some Lua files in there, because even in the exact scan stuff are some Lua files. And so this custom build rules didn't work anymore. Then interface builder, the new interface builder did not even open one of our old interface. Also totally not a fan of this interface builder stuff. So interface builder is some UI stuff where you click your stuff together. I would actually not use it at all for new software. It looks like this, and the problem is that it YouTube, no, I didn't want to watch YouTube now. That what learn, why is there some hello? All I wanted was an interface builder picture. And the problem with this is that, quite empty. This is not the most amazing screenshot. The problem is that it's a proprietary tool and you cannot just import it somewhere else. And this is also why we've written our own UI stuff from scratch to reuse it everywhere. This is, by the way, old interface builder when it still looked more like next step. We value privacy, yes, accept the cookies because you value our privacy so much. And what Intuit builder, it's actually slightly different. This is, anyway, you get the idea. And the problem with this is that you have proprietary data files, and then they even change the format. Also, so we of course version them, and you can version this XML stuff somewhat, but of course it's not amazing. And then it even starts to break after a couple of years in their own proprietary interface builder stuff. So so not the most amazing stuff. Okay, fun stuff that people send email to you. Anyway, thanks for rediffing all the patches. All of this stuff is pretty cool. And so to finish this App Store story, although I have the feeling people are only interested in the Linux stuff, and then we probably better bring the cool retro tram back in focus. Although we are not building verbose, so then maybe like that. And wait a second, why does actually this fails? Warning, why did this if dev without, oops, I committed something. This is why you should actually wait committing stuff before so much to it. It's a small change, it will build, and then some if dev missing. So which version was it? This is of course how you should not do it. So I messed up here some if def. Why would it be below plus minus? Doesn't look too Borg though. But yeah, so not only does Apple take 30% of the money, if you urgently need to get an update to your customers because it crashes on the next OS version, which basically somewhat is Apple's fault for intentionally breaking it, and then you don't even get an update to the people. That is, you know how this happens. This if is here in the wrong, so this is plus, so that is what I messed up. So yeah, it's not only do they take 30% of the money, and then when you urgently need something reviewed, there you see the amazingness of this App Store review stuff. You want to get something to the customer, and so basically this is double this line here from yeah, so now it's one line less, so then now it's 9, so this are the lines here. 7 lines become 9. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 away, and 7, 8, 9. Yep, it should work. What a fail. And yeah, some people of course they request immediately a refund, right? They buy it in the App Store without testing because there's no testing. Also, people nowadays, they don't even go to the website and download it for a test, and then they immediately go to Apple and ask for the money back. To be fair, some people wrote us, and of course we wrote them, yeah, working on it. Apple has the update. Hopefully they approve it soon. Which, by the way, fun fact, should check anyway. And yeah, that really sucks in my opinion. Also, but there you see, sometimes could we have been a little bit more prepared? Yes, a little bit. We are a little bit guilty ourselves, but as long as stuff is randomly crashing and Apple keeps publishing betas, we did not really want to waste our time also on debugging on random stuff when you always think like, yeah, they still change it and it disappears, and yeah, so much to lesson learned, it will not disappear. Yeah, but nonetheless, shit can always happen. You can also have some problem with certificates, like something is well, it shouldn't expire, but whatever, which we usually don't have this problem, but there can be so many things, or legal change that you need to adapt something soonish or whatever, and or just bugs, right? Like something crashing. It can also be something like not crashing because something randomly breaks, but it's just a normal classic bug. Like there always are bugs with something, unfortunately. And yeah, maybe we should write stuff in Rust, but whatever. But as long as there always will be bugs, right? It can be, it's a super important case. It can even be some bug. Maybe a bug is triggered in barcode recognition or file name generation. There's always something, or some important OCR algorithm. It works well until like some big customer, medical, law firm, doctors, all the fun stuff, energy company, banks, and they have a change in production. They scan other invoices, other checks and whatsoever, and then you really urgently, it's like not like your fault, they just come like, hey, here's a bug, we need this work differently because different form, whatever, and we need it way X, Y, and Z, and you can't get this to Apple, right? And why we talk about this also, as usual, people already tuned out, right? Yeah, most people left. Zero frame. So, and the notarization, which we now tried, previously only speculated. Of course, the app notarization is exactly as much bullshit as we thought it is. So instead of sending it to customer, previously we clicked on build, we had the build, we packed it together, we sent it to the customer. Now we need to send it to Apple, And it looks like we might even send it twice, which is hilarious. So it looks like you need to notarize your application, like exactscan.app, the application bundle. And additionally, you need to notarize the archived container. So for example, a zip, or in our case, usually disk image. This old-fashioned disk image stuff. And I've not yet tested it in detail, but it was written there. I just followed this and it worked. So we sent it to Apple and they notarized. So we sent both to Apple. So first we sent the app bundle, it gets notarized, and it's exactly so. We didn't have any notarization rejected. So we just built it, sent it, and the only thing is it's super slow. I don't know why. Even with our 50 Mbit DOCSIS cable connection, everything is pretty snappy except Apple uploads are always slow for whatever reason. Maybe just totally congested there, and on all the 100,000 developers slamming Apple servers, which is also hilarious, right? And so the uploads take forever. Even our small 5 MB exact scan update upload usually takes a minute or two, often at least, and exact scan Pro is only 20 megabyte. Often takes 5 minutes or even sometimes longer. I don't quite understand why. So, and then you need to upload it twice. You need to upload the application bundle and the disk image separately. And yeah, in my opinion, total waste of time. It certainly delays everything. Of course, we will fully script it, but this is also hilarious that this is quite asynchronous, right? So if we script this, usually we have scripted this, build it and package it and zip it all together and it's ready to go. And with this notarization crap, it's asynchronous, right? You send it to Apple, so you run a command like upload, a something tool, AO tool, something, notarize app. It goes to Apple and it's queued there, right? It can take a minute or 2 or 5. So if you script this, it's not like run one command, bam, run command, finished. No, you would need to have a while loop running on this UUID that you get there, and so loop in the script, upload it, which takes forever, loop there for the status, upload it again, zip it together there in your disk image or zip or whatever, upload it again, loop again on the status, and then you need to staple. So actually this notarization, so you need, the command flow is upload, upload for notarize, busy wait for the notarization status, and then when it's notarized successfully, then you need to staple it. There's a staple command and staple the stupid notarization record there into the application certificate, and then do it again, pack it together, disk image, send it to notarization, loop on the status, and when it's done, boom, staple the stupid record into the disk image. It's hilarious, total waste of time. It's not even a particular secure OS, and that's what they do this crap in the first place. Yeah, and this is my grief, right? Instead of they do their job and write a secure OS, they write a buggy OS with our recurring breaking news here, and it's not even helping, right? So they do a shit. I'm pretty sure if I would write an amazing virus or malware and would hide it there, they would just notarize it. So they just check probably some build with SDK, build with compiler version, and not even sure if they really run code analysis, most likely not, or they run some very lightweight form. But again, macOS already had this malware signature. So what is different between, I said this already in the original video, what is different from running malware detection signatures on the Mac or in like quarantine folder sandbox or on their stupid build server? And you need this anyway. Without this stupid notarization staple stuff, there can still be malware that exploits OS. So anyway, and the whole process, right? Why did I spend the whole weekend on this Apple crap? Because it's also totally complex, right? You update Xcode, nothing built anymore, custom build rules, interface builder format, all this bugs, stuff is crashing. And then when you finally halfway, mostly somewhat done, then figure out all the new notarization bullshit and uploading to Apple's App Store, and then it gets reviewed and rejected because it crashed for them, ironically, also in another code path that didn't test. It's hilarious. And everything also gets error prone, right? Also, most people, so I scripted with shell actually because I want to know actually a little bit how this works, especially when you need to work around something, like unofficially build something with an older Xcode version or older SDK version to support previous operating systems or other fun hacks. And also in general, I like to know what happens with my application. Not that I think most people, maybe 90%, click just on the Xcode upload to Apple and do any magic button. But I don't like that very much because I don't like not knowing what is actually going under the hood and what it's sending and doing and messing around with. And yeah, anyway. So this stuff is building, just expected. Maybe this probably fixed that, not applying patch there. Should actually have waited a minute. I should have, yeah, lesson learned, another lesson learned, always really build this stuff before you commit this. Now, Varo, stop bothering with this because of this frustration and even money from enterprises. So that means you're not doing Apple stuff anymore. So yeah, this is also why we're building this YouTube channel. Would be fun if we eventually earn as many $100,000 as Louis Rossmann or Linus Tech Tips. Then we can stop bothering with that. But so far it at least pays some bills. And yeah, but increasingly getting back to more fun stuff. Fixed, brokenly committed. There you have it. Yeah. But this is also, so first of all, this YouTube channel certainly to build a new line of income to grow new business and have more fun at work here again, because yeah, this Apple stuff is really not amazing. The Macs have failing keyboards, thermal throttling, overpriced cheese grater stuff, and even though as software it's hilarious, certainly not from thread safety, not from App Store deployment, not from OS security standpoint, not how things should be done. In my opinion, as usual, leave me in the comments below what you think. It's late enough now. Wish me, cross your fingers, that would be cool if we get a less crashing update into the App Store sometime soon, like tonight, but you never know. Late enough now for all the stuff we're doing here. So much stuff coming. Also Octane, I could actually, but you've seen the Origin. Origin 200 finally in the office. I previously didn't drive it, car was too full, so Octane and Origin finally united here. I will actually try to mix, because the Origin 200 is, I think, not very intended for GPUs. Not really sure if there was an official GPU, maybe not, from SGI. So I will most likely, because the Octane doesn't have PCI slots natively, unless you plug a PCI box or XIO module like shoehorn or shoebox there, internal code names in there. The Origin 200, which is there, but I will not lift it up because lazy now, it's midnight nearly. And so I will most likely try to plug in some PC card there, some vintage card like Matrox or something, or ATI most likely. Maybe I start with Matrox just because it has DVI ports, and see if we can get a regular Xorg runner, well, regular just like MIPS compiled Xorg server running with a PCI card, making a workstation out of this, because why not? Also the ports on the back, also Origin 200 video there down below. The ports in the back look like PS2. They are unlabeled, and someone said they might be PS2 or should be PS2. So maybe next to nobody ever used the PS2 slots on the Origin. So okay, we have 5 people here in the audience, and I lift the Origin up, not making this up. So just I carried it already from the car today, so that's why it was a little bit near. It's not making for the best picture here anyway. As large as it is and how the camera scene is here. But anyway, here is beginning of the origin 200 and the ports. This is why I didn't really felt big beside 20 kilo something. So anyway, ports actually down here, and they are not on the camera. Only live on YouTube dropping stuff. So there are the ports that might be PS2. Few people tried. They are not listed in the service manual, and now I lifted the origin on the table. Now I can't see the display anymore. Fun stuff only on this channel. Yeah, maybe I left it on again. Some exercises. How do I stay so slim? Not overeating and lifting SGI machines every other day. So that's it for that update. So yeah, that's coming sometime soon, but not tonight because I need to go home. Also, our builds are building and zero drop frames. Amazing stuff. Without our router rebooting today. And yeah, so that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, plugging a card. If you want to vote what I should plug in there. Are you a fan of Matrox or... yeah, this is old-fashioned PCI. So I could even plug in a S3 Verge or whatever. But I think I will plug in a Matrox G450 with dual port DVI or something. The good old stuff we have. And then we could theoretically run an X server and also do more testing and yeah. Also keyboard assembly and other fun stuff. And it's funny that probably many people here are not the greatest fans of Apple, because when I talk about Apple stuff, then people tune out, and when we talk about good old Linux stuff and other vintage fun, then people come back. Anyway, what is that? PS3 failed for what reason? PowerPC 6432. Are we even audio? We have audio. One Linux. What could that be? Sound. Ah, this is actually, so yeah, because it's an audio. Okay, so fine. This is our Sam retake stuff. Anyway, building the full modular kernel, also bootable on a G5 and, well, not G4, but theoretically anyway. This is why, yeah, not really sure. Can you have such a, yeah, probably you could if you find a PCI card, PCIe card with this. I see, probably. So yeah, anyway, thanks for tuning in. Hope you learned something. As usual, more people like vintage Linux and whatever than Apple, but that's probably what it is in 2019. Hope you learned something. If you have any comments, leave them below, and I hope to see you soon for all the next fun stuff to come.